You've got to shoes this bit, Margaret. You've got to shoes it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the White Owl Podcast, proudly sponsored by Ski Weekends. I'm Dom, I'm owner, founder at In the Snow magazine, and I manage a load of social channels and YouTube channel, print magazine. And today I have got my trusted co-host, I only left him a few hours ago from Laax. It's Rob Stewart.
Hi there, thanks Dom. It was a great week here in Laax. It was great to see you. You can catch all the videos that we did this week in the Snow Mag on YouTube, right? We dive into all the gear, all the new skis as well. I've spent a bit of time in the industry. I've worked pretty much every job in this industry: ski instructor, chalet operations, ski shops. I now run a PR agency with clients, ski resorts like Montana, Leger, Jungfrau, just to name a few. And I'm a huge gear enthusiast as well. Some might call me a geek, although I was definitely out-geeked this week at the SIGB ski test.
It's great to be here again, Rob. For all those new listeners, every episode we bring the freshest ski news from across the globe, where the best snow is right now, in-depth reviews of this season's hottest gear, regular updates from Ed Drake at the Ski Racing Podcast, and of course, we'll take you to some of the most amazing ski destinations on the planet. All of this brought to you in partnership with Ski Weekends, our trusted headline sponsor.
Ski Weekends, Dom. Actually, while you mentioned that, you were out there in Leger last weekend with Ski Weekends, right? Skiing with Eddie the Eagle, no less. I saw all your Instagramming while you were there.
Yep, a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, and that beautiful, cold, sunny weekend in Leger, just 1 hour from Geneva. I mean, what a great place. It's a chocolate box resort, great restaurants, beautiful tree line skiing, great food, an hour from Geneva. It's hard to beat, that's for fact.
Doing my job. I'll just leave that PR to you then for Leger. Thank you very much.
And of course, who else to book with but our trusted headline sponsor, Ski Weekends. Great to finally stay with them. After working with them for 18 years, it's the first time I've stayed with them. Thoroughly pleasant it was too. They offer 3, 4 or 7 night stays in catered chalets and fully flexible hotel options too. Whether you're a solo traveller, planning a group trip, or looking for a combination of some of the biggest and best ski areas, Ski Weekends has you covered. So check them out at skiweekends.com. So, Rob, we're hot off the press back from Laax ski test. It's been a great week. We did have one listener question, which was somebody who said, I heard you've got a beginner special coming up. I'm taking my young teen with autism skiing. He's been doing great in the indoor snow slope, but now needs extra help when he gets out to resort. Have you got any suggestions? What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have this really exciting series, 4 podcasts coming up in association with Crystal Ski, all about getting into skiing, covering everything you need to know when you are about to start your skiing journeys. A great question this week. I would say find a British ski school because communication is so important, or get back to us as well. Get in contact with us or with them directly to discuss your specific needs. If you're heading somewhere, reach out. We can try and help. British ski schools and instructors can definitely go a long way to helping with your own needs or those of your kids, for example.
The other thing is, it is well worth looking out for things like Check Yeti and Maison Sport, where you can touch base with ski instructors directly. It's a bit like the Uber of ski instructors, where you get to choose your instructor, you get to see a picture of them, you can chat to them online and find out a bit about them before you arrive. So it means you can look into those special requests. Definitely worthwhile doing that. So that's Maison Sport and Check Yeti are 2 that I know of, and there's probably more, but I'll put those in the show notes. Here we bring you the latest updates from around the skiing world, from exciting resort developments, events, and everything making the headlines in the ski world. So let's get stuck in. What have you got, Rob?
I've been reading a lot of reports lately about accidents in ski resorts or news stories about this and safety, whether it's people skiing too fast or just general on-piste craziness. We've known about this campaign for some time that's managed to hit Ski Sunday, which is epic. We don't want to dwell on these incidents, but it is important to highlight this campaign and bring it to everyone's attention because anything can help.
So we know of the Peace Cross Code, which was absolutely fantastic. It's a not-for-profit slope safety campaign urging skiers and snowboarders to follow key safety rules with its catchy slogan, Stop, Look, Slide. It was launched in 2022 after a big accident in the French Alps. It aims to tackle rising on-piste accidents by educating everybody from beginners to experts about their safety responsibilities. It was co-founded by a friend of ours, Amy Henderson, and Louise Paley. They created the initiative to help prevent these accidents. It's called the Piste Cross Code, a bit like the Green Cross Code. It's all about 8 essential rules for safe skiing, such as skiing within your ability, controlling your speed, respecting signs, and helping in the event of an accident. The reason it hit our radar this week is because it appeared on Ski Sunday, which is fantastic for them. They have key sponsors like alpineproperty.com and More Mountain. And it's great. It's well worth taking the Piste Cross Code quiz, where you can donate or learn more about Piste Cross Code. So just type in Piste Cross Code into the website and it will pop up. So stay safe and remember, stop, look and slide. Really nice.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah, right. This is a completely different news story, Dom. It's the Palisades Tahoe fundraiser for fire relief. This January, Palisades Tahoe was offering $99 lift tickets with 100% of the sales going to support Southern California fire relief through the California Fire Foundation. In partnership with the Alterra Mountain Company, the resort matched donations dollar for dollar up to $100,000, tripling the impact of each ticket sold. Tickets are available they were available all day, afternoon skiing. All those proceeds went to the funding the emergency assistance, community rebuilding, and long-term support for those affected by those recent wildfires that we all heard about. So yeah, that was a really nice story from Palisades Tahoe there.
Very good. And then the other one, March Ski Holidays, offering fantastic value for money. So if you're looking for a bargain ski trip, March 25 is shaping up to be the best time to book, with Easter falling very late this year. Many European schools won't break up until early April, meaning fewer crowds, great prices in the latter half of March. So ski holiday companies are highlighting 18th to the 31st unbeatable value, especially compared to the traditional cheaper January weeks. Snow levels are good. We've experienced over the last few years that this time of year can be very snowy and very nice, but also you get plenty of sunshine as well. Ideal for that later getaway. Xavier, boss of Peak Retreats from and Ski Collection, says the second half of March will offer the best value weeks of the season. Discounts are especially strong in Italy, with resorts like Cervinia and Salsi-Do offering ski holidays for as low as half price. Travel agencies like snow.co.uk and Sunweb are also seeing big savings, with Sunweb offering lift passes and ski hire included in their March packages. Igloo Ski has narrowed it down further, recommending departures on March 22nd to 23rd to resorts like Zell See in Austria and Arensal in Andorra for some of the season's lowest prices. For those who are after a more relaxed atmosphere, Ski Beat is offering catered chalets in La Rosière. Really nice area, just over the back of the Tuile there, for just $767 per person, complete with home-cooked meals and a private chalet host. Perfect way to enjoy quieter slopes, longer days, and laid-back spring vibe if you like it. So in short, March is the time to go.
Definitely. It's a great time to go.
What's up next?
Right, well, Mia Brookes wins a third World Cup of the season at the Laax Open. Mia Brookes, just turned 18 years old, secured her third victory of the 2024-25 Snowboard World Cup season with a stunning win in the slopestyle at the Laax Open in Switzerland on January 18th. Brookes scored 84.86 to top the women's final ahead of Zoe Sadowski and Kokomo Maras. The win, which came on Brookes' 18th birthday, adds to her impressive season, which already includes victories in Klagenfurt and Beijing. With 5 podium finishes from 6 events, she leads the overall World Cup standings and the slopestyle rankings. Brookes said, "This is the best birthday present ever. Winning the Laax Open was definitely on my list, and this course is super fun, but tough."
Nice.
Brookes' triumph is especially meaningful as it marks a significant leap from her runner-up finish here in 2023. Absolutely fantastic.
Nice one, Mia. Very proud of that. Another Brit doing superbly well. Next up is the Hakuba Valley, located in Japan's Nagano Prefecture. It's experiencing one of the best seasons in years, with resorts leading the world in snow depths. By early January, some areas had 3 meters of snow on the upper runs, putting them well ahead of ski destinations in Europe and North America. So they got their super light, fluffy Japan style powder. It's a global snowboarding and skiing hotspot. Valley's home to 10 ski resorts. You can get a bus between those resorts. They're well connected, and you can get a Hakuba Valley Day Pass, which gives access to all of those resorts, making it a great destination for exploring those renowned powder hotspots. Really great area for skiing. Been out there. It's amazing, and I need to go back. Of course, there's loads of other attractions like the Matsumoto Castle, Snow Monkeys, Hot Springs. Plenty to see there. So, yep, definitely get Japan on your list.
And Hakuba, don't overlook that. A lot of people talk about the North Island, Hokkaido, but Hakuba is on the other island from Tokyo. You get there from Tokyo, and it's worth checking out. My friend lives there, and he's always sending me these pictures of powder. Drives me mad. Our friend Martina Diez-Routh, you can win one of her mountain masterpieces. A mountain artist Known for a vibrant pastel mountain scenes, is offering a chance to win a commissioned piece of mountain art or one of 10 limited editions. Martina's passion for the mountains began in a native Argentina, where she first fell in love with the Andes. Later worked at several major ski resorts, including Crested Butte, Aspen, and Vale, before moving to the UK. Sign up to Martina's art newsletter for a chance to win a unique mountain painting. Explore her work at The Ski Guru.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put that in the show notes as well. While we're on the subject of competitions, if you head over to our Instagram, _magazine, you can win a GoPro. Such a cool prize. You get a whole GoPro with all the gear that goes with it. All you got to do is go to our Instagram page and follow us on Instagram and leave a comment and tag in a couple of mates. And that closes next week. And that's it for this week's news. So you can win a GoPro, you can win some of her artwork, and obviously loads of great news going on there. Excellent. So what's up next, Rob?
Well, what's up next is where best to ski now, Dom. You know, there's a lot of places that are very good to ski now. I mean, we both love talking about snow, right? You know.
Yeah, certainly will welcomes this week's Where is Best to Ski Right Now, where we bring the latest snowfall updates and the best ski conditions from across the globe. Let's dive into the freshest snow reports and the top destinations to head up for your next ski adventure. What do we got? There's Europe first, Rob. What do we got?
Yeah, let's have a quick overview of the Alps. Really, loads of snow here in the Clusaz this week. Skiing powder, Dom, for 3 days. I mean, it was absolutely amazing, right above the knees. Really nice, light stuff. And I can honestly say it was some of the best powder skiing I've had in a while here. Chamonix led the charge over the Alps, really massive 1.2 meters of snow in 72 hours. Lots of resorts have base depths over 3 meters now. This heavy snowfall has not only improved conditions at the high altitude resorts, but also benefited some areas that had been struggling with poor snow cover earlier in the winter too. So it's brilliant right now.
That's great, isn't it? And
let's look at some specifics.
Gives everybody that feel-good factor. So in Austria, it's been a great week, particularly at higher elevations. Many resorts reported up to 0.5 meter of fresh snow, and even lower slopes saw a switch from rain to snow as the weekend progressed. Saarbach-Hinterglemm is gearing up for the FIS Alpine Ski World Champs, making it one of the most exciting places to be this week, with fantastic snow conditions on almost all open runs.
France received the heaviest snowfalls of the week. Avoriaz, Chamonix and Les Arcs are all hitting that 3 meter base depths as well. Lower slopes did see a bit of rain initially, but that sort of all turned to snow, and actually I think it's just helped the base. Conditions are shaping up to be for the upcoming half-term period. Do keep an eye on avalanche risk off piste, because as I said, we were skiing powder this week in the Clusaz. We were skiing below 30-degree slopes. It felt okay there, but if you go onto those steeper slopes, it is unstable. I saw lots of evidence of avalanches on slopes above 30 degrees here in the Clusaz. So be very, very careful right now, because conditions are quite unstable off piste.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rob. Very well made. Italy has had its best week of the season. Resorts like Livigno, which have been lacking snow for most of this winter, saw their base depth double after a recent snowstorm. The snowfall in La Tuile, that we mentioned earlier, was particularly impressive, with 80 centimetres in just 72 hours. It was much needed fresh powder for free riders to enjoy this weekend. That's a beautiful area. I love skiing in Italy. What about Switzerland, Rob?
Yeah. Well, seeing some really big snowfalls as well. Crans-Montana got the most with 90 centimetres. But other resorts like Verbier and across the Four Valleys, they're not far behind, reporting up to 80 centimetres of fresh snow as well. Sunny skies are returning. Temperatures are still pretty low. Switzerland's shaping up to be a really prime spot for the February holiday time.
It's always nice when your PR client of Crans-Montana gets the most snow, isn't it, Rob?
Well, I didn't write that, Dom. I didn't write that one.
And then we got the Pyrenees. They're expected to get more snow this week, but the big storm didn't deliver as much as predicted. That said, snow has started falling heavily now, improving conditions. Most resorts are still open, or certainly partially open, but the fresh snow is definitely helping to boost coverage. What about Scandinavia?
Yeah, well, it's had a great week, especially in Norway, Sweden and Finland.
Yeah.
A weekend storm dropped 20 to 40 centimetres in many areas, with some centres reporting over 0.5 metre of snow last week. Best snowfalls of the season so far. Big resorts like, Hemsedal, Sälen, Trysil. They're all Sälen in Sweden, of course, Trysil and Hemsedal in Norway. They've got the most rain open. They've had all season. It's a great time to ski in Scandinavia. It always is, but they're having a good time now.
Yeah, that's good. And it's been unseasonably warm in Bulgaria, with temperatures topping 10 degrees on lower slopes. However, the major resorts like Bansko and Borovets still have all their slopes open. Up north, Poland, Chechnya, and Slovakia have seen some lighter snowfalls, with Jasna in Slovakia reporting excellent conditions and about 75% of its terrain open.
I've heard pretty much like Bulgaria's been having a good winter so far. It might have warmed up a bit, but I think there's plenty of snow there. Have a look at Scotland. It's been an up and down season, bit of a yo-yo season. Snow comes, snow goes a bit. But this week's been one of the best of the winter. After wild weather closed the 5 Highland ski areas last weekend, the snow started falling again in abundance. Glencoe was the first to open up, followed by Cairngorm, Glenshee, and the Lecht, with more snow expected through the week as well.
Then over in Canada, it's been experiencing some cold temperatures, with many areas below -20. Crikey. The eastern resorts, particularly Mont Tremblant, saw 38 centimetres of fresh snow, and conditions are still great, with almost all runs open. On the west coast, there hasn't been much snow yet, but big storms are expected soon, so things are about to change in the likes of Banff and Sunshine. So yeah, going to be good.
It's been a quiet week for most ski resorts in the US, with a few inches of snow, though, in many places. California, New England, either side of the country, and Utah, right in the middle, saw a bit more snow, with up to a foot in some spots. But the big news, this massive storm expected to hit the west coast at the start of next week. It's going to bring meters of snow. So if you're on the west coast, get ready for some epic powder days. Meanwhile, conditions across the US are still good for on-piste, or on-trail, as they might say, skiing, with most slopes open. It's all in solid shape over there, that's for sure.
If you want to stay up to date on where is best to ski right now, you can type into Google where is best to ski right now, and In the Snow will pop up as #1, or you can just go straight to inthesnow.com and search up where is best to ski. Now it's always on our homepage. It's a great place just to keep updated weekly of all the resorts where they are dropping the best snow. Le Clusaz was the one this week for sure. Safe travels and happy skiing in those deep powder conditions.
Light's gone. I'm going to change these lenses, people.
So, Rob, next up is our gear guide. Whether you're upgrading your kit or just curious about the latest trends, we've got you covered. From skis and boots to apparel and equipment, we try to cover the broadest range of ski gear possible. So this week, less than 5 minutes, Rob, we've got the ultimate guide to buying every bit of ski gear you could ever want, right from your head down to your toe. That's what we're trying to cover. So this is what we're going to do in this week's podcast. Watch your space. We've got 5 minutes, Rob. Let's do this. Helmets. What are we looking for when we're buying a helmet?
Helmets, right. Fit. Ensure it's snug but comfortable. Cover your forehead. It sits level on your head without shifting around. Safety aspect. Look for helmets with certifications, of course. You don't need MIPS necessarily and all the other sort of tech, but all helmets have to meet safety standards. MIP and Coiroid, which is a technology they build into helmets, they add further safety if you want the ultimate helmet. More money generally means better technology and increased safety. But, look out for that stuff. Ventilation, really important. Adjustable vents are important to regulate temperature and prevent overheating if you get hot or cold. The weight, that's more important if you're touring, really. But, it's worth considering, especially if you are going to do some ski touring. Comfort, soft moisture wicking liner and ear pads for warmth and a secure fit to stop it degrading. Style, you might have integrated audio systems for those tunes or visor integrated goggles. Just make sure you look and feel good. Compatibility, check that your helmet fits well with your goggles. That's really important. Consider models with a goggle strap retainer as well. They often have better features. They are great value helmets that also provide excellent protection as well. So, the more you spend, basically the more you spend, the better the helmet. So do try and invest.
Yeah. Ski goggles just... Again, goggles, make sure they fit snugly. They want to be tight on your face, but not too tight. They shouldn't be pinching. No gaps between your goggle and your helmet. Think about lens type. Do you want a very light lens for low light conditions, or a mid lens for bright, sort of more variable weather conditions like rose pink, or a grey-blue lens for those really bright conditions? Think about lens technology. Look for anti-fog coating, ventilation systems to stop them fogging up, UV protection for better visibility. Possibly interchangeable lenses. A lot of goggles now come with 2 lenses. So that's really good for quick lens changes. Frame size. Have you got a little face and a great big goggle? Maybe you like that look. Or maybe you've got a massive head and tiny goggles. Don't know, whatever you want to look like. Field of view, you get big wide lenses now with great peripheral vision, great for enhancing safety and awareness. Polarization to stop the lens glare off the snow and the ice if you don't want to be squinting all day. If you're going in March, April and you've got those big bright conditions, look for polarized lenses. Good airflow means anti-fogging. So if you are a warm running person, you don't want your goggles to steam up, look for great ventilation and nice foam Strap and adjustability, it's natural you're going to get good strap and silicone adjustability on the back, so it stops rubbing up and down your helmet. And durability and build quality, maybe not so important, but if you're going to spend a lot of money on a set of goggles, you're probably going to get something that's going to last years. What about outerwear, Rob?
Outerwear, very important, of course. Waterproofing is number one on the list. Look for a waterproof rating. A lot of brands measure that in millimeters, like 10,000 millimeters, I said, was absolute minimum for skiing. You might want to look at 20,000 millimeters and go up to 30,000 millimeters. We keep you dry in those wetter conditions. Gore-Tex, for example, similar fabrics to that are ideal. You know, if you're skiing and it's not snowing, obviously that's less important, but often does snow, right? So breathability. Number two, choose fabrics with good breathability. It's same rating scale, 10,000 or higher, to prevent moisture buildup from sweat. And then you've got insulation. That's obviously for warmth. You can pick either synthetic insulation, which is better in wet conditions, or down, which is lighter and warmer, but can be less effective if it gets wet. So layering allows for more flexibility. The fit, really important. Ensure the jacket has enough room for layering underneath it. You don't want it too loose, but you have to be able to fit things underneath. A good fit, it does enhance your comfort and also your mobility. Ventilation, look for those zippered vents like under the arms or the back to regulate your body temperature in the warmer times. It's nice to be able to unzip something sometimes. Pockets, very important, especially handy for ski passes. That one on the left-hand cuff is very important. Maybe inside pockets for your goggles, maybe outside pockets for your phone, that's insulated pocket, for example. A snow skirt. This is an internal powder cuff. It helps keep snow out of your jacket when falling or skiing through deep snow. Helmet compatibility. For some skiers, this is really handy. It comfortably pulls up over your helmet without restricting movement or ventilation. That's the hood. You pull it over. Most jackets now have these larger hoods. So other features like adjustable cuffs, the hood that goes over the top of the helmet, wrist gaiters, and an RFID pocket can really add convenience and protection. So that's your outer base layer.
Think about the materials, moisture wicking. So this is arguably the most important layer because it's so close to your skin. Think about things like merino wool. It's natural, breathable, odor resistant. Synthetic fabrics like polyester and nylon. They're light, quick drying and durable. Think about moisture management. We've done a great YouTube video about best ski base layers on the Snowmag YouTube channel. They wick sweat away, keep your skin dry, stop you from getting chilly. Make sure they fit well. They should be snug but not too tight. A close fit helps with moisture management and insulation, but you should still be able to move easily. You shouldn't feel really constrained. Temperature regulation for base layers that provide warmth. So think about how warm a person you are. If you're a really hot running person, think about thinner base layers. If you're a really cold person, think about multiple layers of base layers. Merino wool's great for that. Synthetics maybe need some treatment. So if you want to be wearing one set of base layers for the whole week, think about how sweaty you get and the quality of your base layers. Seam construction, you get these flat lock seams, which means no irritation. So you can barely feel any seam between the sleeves and the main body. Layering, again, think about how hot you are. So do you want multiple thin layers that you can take off, or think about whether you want a really thick base layer because you're a really cold person. And again, durability, your elbows, knees, shoulders, those sort of high contact areas. Think about the quality of that piece of kit. It's about moisture wicking, fit, comfort, warmth, and performance on the slopes. Socks, Rob, we're down to our feet.
Oh, yeah, really important, right? Look for socks made of merino wool. They're warm, breathable, odor resistant, or synthetic blends, which are light and quick drying and durable. A mixture of both that often provides the best balance, right? Fit is important. Ensure the socks fit snugly without being too tight. Make sure they're the right size for you. Don't buy those tube socks, buy properly sized ones. They should stay in place, avoid bunching, not cause pressure points or discomfort in ski boots. Padding, right? You can get socks with targeted padding, like the areas like the shin, the arch of the heel, for added comfort and protection from boot pressure. Breathability. I mean, not the socks are generally breathable, but make sure they are. Moisture wicking socks like merino, because you don't want to sweat in your socks either, because that's going to cause problems, right? Obvious problems. The length of the ski socks, really important. Should come over up to your calf, below the knee. They should be tight enough so they don't slip down, and that will prevent rubbing. Again, the thickness of the socks is, there's different thicknesses. Choose a thickness based on your preference, right? So thicker socks, a bit warmer, but thinner socks, you've got better precision. So you want to find a balance from that with that normally. I mean, you have to, like ski racers wearing super thin socks, but you want to be able to feel the boot as well. Better ski socks won't have any seams in them at all, so you won't get any rubbing or something. Select socks with reinforced areas like the toe and the heel for added durability and protection.
How quick a gear guide is that from your head down to your toe? We've got you covered in terms of the best gear to buy and what kind of things you need to be thinking about. So play that back in slow motion and you are going to get your ultimate guide to buying everything from your helmet down to your socks. We've got a Skiing 101 series coming out in association with Crystal Ski where we'll be covering that in more detail. Hopefully you're now confident about buying your next set of gear. What do we got next, Rob?
We're right in the middle of the World Cup ski racing season, the Alpine ski racing season. And you mentioned the Alpine Skiing World Championships that are taking place soon in Saalbach Hinterglemm. We have Ed Drake coming on from the Ski Racing Podcast to tell us what's going on in the world of Alpine ski racing.
Ed Drake, welcome to the White Owl Podcast. What do we got this week?
Hey Tom, hey Rob, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me back. We have had an epic couple of weeks racing. The women raced over in Cortina d'Ampezzo on the Olympic track that will be there for 2026 next winter. And Federica Brignoni picked up her first ever downhill World Cup victory, which was very, very impressive. Lindsey Vonn, unfortunately, back to her crashing ways. Had a crash, thankfully was okay. She was able to walk away from it. Then the women raced in Kronplatz, a giant slalom. That was very good. Nothing too out of the ordinary there, apart from Alice Robinson picked up her first win of the season. Then over to Garmisch-Partenkirchen, where the women were racing. Again, it was a bit wet, and again, Lindsey Vonn crashed. But again, Lindsey Vonn got away with it and ended up not having any injuries. And then that sort of brings us towards the World Championships on the women's side. Men's side, it's been the classics, hasn't it? Wengen was very, very good. And the Swiss fans are always in good spirits as you're in Wengen. Great racing, great competition. Then it was Kitzbühel. Oh, and Marco Odermatt picked up a victory on the Strife, but it wasn't the one he wanted. He's been desperate to pick up the downhill victory there, calling him a victor in the downhill. But it was a Super G win, so he'll take that. He's got his name against a gondola in Kitzbühel, but not the one he wanted. The second day of the 2 days of speed racing was epic. The downhill day was exceptional. Alexander Cameron back on the podium for the second time this season. Really good from him. Alexis Monet came so close to doing the Bormio and Kitzbühel double this season, but it was not to be for him because the man at the top was Jack Crawford. His name's James Crawford. Everyone calls him Jack Crawford. But Crawford, either way, went very, very well. Picked up his first ever World Cup victory. And to do it on the Hahnenkamm weekend was something very, very special indeed. They partied long into the night in the Londoner. Looked like some great scenes. I think they had about hangover for about a week. The slalom skiers on Sunday went okay. Again, it was wet on Sunday. Not the easiest of conditions. The two Brits of Billy and Dave got themselves onto the second run and they went pretty well. It was okay. Not the fireworks that we were hoping and have had historically at Kitzbühel, but nonetheless a good couple of days racing. And then it was on to Schladming for the night giant slalom now and the night slalom. The GS went okay. Again, it was wet, lots of rain. The organisers did a great job to get some salt into the hill and make sure that we could get a race away. Nothing too crazy there. Odermatt didn't manage to pick up the victory. That's probably the part that was maybe the most interesting. But then the night slalom, just the other night, was an epic bit of racing. A bit of needle, actually. It was the German. His name will come to me eventually. Linus Strasser, there we go. Got it in the end. Picked up the first run lead and his coaches set the second run. And his coaches set something which Linus was not very happy about at all. Gave a really spiky interview at the bottom, saying he didn't know what his coaches were doing, why his coaches had set the way they had, because it was never going to suit him, never going to fall into his strengths. And he went from first down to fourth. The day belonged to Tim and Hauger, picking up his second slalom victory of the season. Dave, Laurie and Billy all making it onto the second run. Great to see the three Queensmen picking up some good results on the last stop before the World Championships. The World Championships start on the 4th of February over in Saalbach, and we've got a big old team. Not just the stars that we normally see on the World Cup Tour, but we are giving some of the youngsters, some of the newcomers who go into the World Champs to hopefully give themselves a bit of a platform, help them understand what it's like going to a major championship, so when they really get into their sort of core years as a World Cup ski racers, hopefully they will have a bit of big game experience underneath your belt. We'll be going into more detail on the Ski Racing podcast later throughout this week and into the weekend. It should be out next Monday. So until then, Dom, Rob, I'll hand it back to you. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
That's great having Ed from the Ski Racing podcast. Don't forget, if you want more detail about what's going on in the world of ski racing, to head over to the Ski Racing podcast. And this week's special guest, we have got Nick Jenkins, ex-Dragon's Den man and founder of the Moonpig greetings card business, which he sold many years ago. Let's welcome Nick Jenkins to tell us about his skiing.
Really good to hear from Nick.
So great to welcome to the White Owl podcast this week is Nick Jenkins. I mean, Dragon's Den, you must still be known as Nick Jenkins from Dragon's Den, even though you were founder of Moonpig. But now you've opened the Infinity Slope at South Wiltshire Ski Club. How are you, Nick Jenkins?
Very good. Very excited about the club. It's been great fun.
Good stuff. Well, welcome to the White Owl podcast. Let's get straight into it, Nick. Are you somebody that has skied all your life? Are you somebody that's just caught the bug later on? Is this a lifelong ski fanatic?
I mean, since the age of 13, I think I took it up at 13. I went on a school trip. I learned on a dry ski slope and then went to Pamporovo in Bulgaria on a school trip. And I've more or less tried to ski every year since. There was a little bit of a gap in my 20s when I had to pay for my own skiing, and that wasn't always possible. As things progressed in my 30s, I was able to compensate for that and started probably going a couple of times a year. And then I got a bit more time and then went 3 times a year. So no, I'm fairly fanatical now.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you're probably most famous for being on Dragon's Den, and obviously you founded the company Moonpig. So during that time when that was all in its infancy and you were growing this brand new company, did you still have time for skiing then?
You've got to have priorities in life, and skiing clearly is number one.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
You've recently opened this Infinity Slope in Wiltshire. Tell me a little bit about that. What has meant that you've gone from skiing the mountains 2, 3 and more times a year to creating an indoor revolving ski slope?
I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and I'm very keen that she should ski. So we've been skiing a couple of times, and I was trying to find somewhere for her to go in between skiing holidays, because otherwise you find that they kind of lose a bit and then they spend the first 3 days trying to catch up. So I thought, let's go in between. And there's no reason why we shouldn't ski in the summer.
Absolutely.
So I looked at places like Milton Keynes, but it was about a 5-hour round trip. It's quite busy, and you spend a lot of your time on the lift going back up. So I looked at that. That was a bit too far away, and I'd heard about Chelsea. I've skied for 44 years. And I'd heard of this thing, but never given it a go. I assumed it would be mediocre. So I tried to book there, but apparently that has shut down. And then I tried there was one in Basingstoke. Oh, brilliant, I'll book there. And that shut down. And I thought, well, clearly it's not an idea that's taken off. But then I heard of the one there was a place called Ski Easy in Chiswick. And thought, I'll give it one last ditch, I'll go there. And I went on it, and I was completely addicted the first time. Mostly because it's actually, if you're a reasonably good skier, and I'm not a great skier, I'm a reasonably good skier, it's quite difficult to get into parallel on the first session. It's quite frustrating because you expect to just be able to get on it and ski normally. It actually takes a bit of time to get your head around it. Yeah. But I was hooked at that point. I'm going to get better. So I went back doing this 4-hour round trip to get it. But I thought that's a little bit too far to take my daughter for a ski lesson. So and I thought, how expensive can it be to set one up? I looked into it. And they're not terribly expensive machines to set up. You need a big room for them. They're about 10 meters by 5 meters. There are lots of these things in Holland. We only have, I think, 3 in the UK. Yeah. There are 50 of these centres with 150 slopes in Holland. There's one slope for every 100,000 people. We got 1 per 20 million in this country. So this idea, this nagging idea, why don't I have a go? I theoretically worked on a little bit of a business plan. And I got a phone call from my neighbour saying, the land agents in a neighbouring farm, saying the barn, there's a big barn, it was an old tractor repair shed, was up for rent. I thought, that's a sign. That's
a sign from God.
Just went into it.
So it didn't put you off the fact that every ski slope that you ran had closed down. It's a typical entrepreneur, and you thought, I don't care what's gone wrong with them. I know I can make this work.
Well, what I phoned the company that makes the equipment, and I said, why did they shut down? And it transpires the one in Chelsea shut down because somebody made an offer for the building, which was worth much more than the ski slope ever would be. The one in Basingstoke, from what I understand, they'd probably just slightly overstaffed it. They'd got a receptionist, a manager, and a ski instructor, and it's sensitive to the cost of labour. So I think, okay. And then when I looked at every time I tried to book at Chiswick, it was always full, so that's a sign.
Yeah.
I didn't know how full I could make one in the middle of nowhere in Wiltshire, but I thought sometimes you just got to take a punt.
In a tractor repair shed.
Yeah. But it is very conveniently where the A36 meets the A303. I didn't go in it completely blind. I did a bit of research and I worked out there are 400,000 people within 45 minutes drive, probably nearly 1 million if you include some of the big conurbations like Poole and Bournemouth. So we've got a reasonable catchment area and just got going.
Yeah.
It turns out we did a little bit of a press release in October, as you might remember, and after that's been full.
Wow. How fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great sign. I mean, that's great to hear. For those people that are listening, I've got a lot of experience of the indoor slopes. I worked very closely with the people at Basingstoke, and we even created their online booking system for them. So I know a lot about the indoor slopes. But for those people who haven't been on one of these slopes, how would you compare skiing on this indoor infinity slope to, for example, one of the indoor snow domes like you've mentioned, like Hemel or Chell Factory or Milton Keynes? How would you compare that?
There are some things we can't replicate. You can't do moguls. It's difficult to do jumps. What it feels like after you've got your head around the idea that you're really just sort of more or less floating within an area. After about 2 or 3 sessions, it just feels like a really well-groomed piste. The most important thing is you don't stop until your legs give out, or you say stop, or you fall over. Mostly it's when people just say, okay, enough. And that's perhaps the biggest difference. Even on Milton Keynes, I've been to Milton Keynes, it's great. But you can do about 10, 12 turns, and then you have to go back up again. So the ratio of down to up is probably 10 to 1. Even in a resort, with these new apps, we use a few of them at the slope. But you add it up at the end of the day, think, did I only ski for 45 minutes? But the downtime is only about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So we find that we can get beginners doing as much skiing in an hour as they would do in a morning in a ski resort.
Wow.
So it's a very, very good place for beginners. We've also had quite a lot of interest from the other end of the spectrum, from racers who want to be able to practice the same thing 1,000 times and get the muscle memory in. The other thing we've done recently is we've bought the Max Track slope, which is the big 10 meter by 5 meter revolving slope. And then we've also got the SkyTech simulator, which is the one that moves from side to side. And you're staring at a big screen of a downhill run. I hadn't appreciated that in our brains, we don't have a meter for speed. We can't sense speed. Or we can only sense speed by rushing air or by what we're seeing. Right. Which is why simulators sometimes you feel as though you're going down. You feel like you're going at speed. Yeah. So we've now got 2 simulators working side by side.
Wow.
It's a preparation for snow. It's never a replacement for snow.
Sure.
I think to some extent, dry slopes can be a replacement for snow. For some people, skiing's an expensive sport, and dry slopes can be a great place for people who are probably never going to go in snow. Yeah. And that works. But this is a great preparation for snow. You can carve on this in a way that you can't on the dry slope, on the dendrites. So you can really perfect your technique.
So it's absolutely not just for beginners. You've talked about racers coming and being able to thrash it out for 15 or 20 minutes and really perfect those skills, which is pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yes, and we do have the Everest Challenge. I worked out that if you have it on at full speed and full elevation for an hour, it's the equivalent of skiing from the top of Everest to sea level.
Wow.
So the challenge is, if anybody can do that, we'll give them £1,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I might take you up on that, mate.
The most anyone's ever managed about 17 minutes so far. They're level 3 instructor. So
on full speed.
Well, the thing is, in order to control your speed, you have to turn a lot. Imagine doing a 17-minute slalom.
Yeah. So what would be your ultimate tips when you first turn up on that slope?
Well, with beginners, very straightforward because they don't know anything else. For the people who are good skiers, we definitely have to manage their expectations. So look, you've got to start off in a snowplow, which I know just goes, you can wear dark glasses and a baseball cap to hide your identity, but you've got to start off in a snowplow and just get used to the slope first. And then once you got used to the slope, it'll naturally happen, but you can't just throw yourself in. One of the problems is that if you overturn and start turning back up the slope, it does have a slightly vicious tendency to flip you upside down. That has happened. So we have to warn people about what they can't do on it. But by and large, they get it fairly quickly. In half an hour, you can do 900 turns, and that's fantastic preparation.
So you thought you'd bring the mountains to Wiltshire. When you get fed up of the ski queues in resorts, will you end up buying your own ski resort as well?
Oh, I wish I could.
So we talked about your entrepreneurial career. thinking about that entrepreneurial side, one of the questions we wanted to ask for our listeners was, there's lots of innovation in the ski industry from UK clothing brands and technology. Is there any ultimate advice you can give to those would-be entrepreneurs out there thinking, I've got this great idea for the ski industry, but I'm really not sure where to start?
One bit of advice is that people always think they have to invent something completely new. Sometimes the best thing to do is to take something that's already established and just change one aspect of it. So the aspect that I change is that I know people like skiing, and I know that these slopes work very well in Holland, but I also know there wasn't one in Wiltshire. That was it. That's the only thing I changed is the location. Everything else is tried and tested and proven. I knew the one in Chiswick was very popular. I just put one in Wiltshire. That's not very innovative, but it worked.
And what kind of skier are you, Nick, just so that people can get a little bit of an idea of the skier behind the man on Dragon's Den? Are you one of those people that gets up at the crack of dawn, first lift out of town and come back when it's dark? Or are you a late breakfast, a little bit of skiing, and then a long lunch, and then straight into Apple?
No, I'm not a gastro skier. I'm a 9 if I've got people who will do it with me, I'm a 9 in the morning till 5.
Very proud to hear of that, Nick. And our main question that we ask each week when we get somebody on the podcast is this: if you could only ski one resort for the rest of your life, which resort would that be?
That is a tricky one. Verbier is one of my favourites. The bit that you've got Montfort. I mean, there's a lot to keep you interested in. If
certainly a lot to keep you interested there. Is that going to be your chosen resort?
There are lots of other resorts. I like trying lots of exotic resorts. I like exotic. So I've done Kazakhstan, Georgia, Iceland.
Turkey?
I haven't done Turkey, no. Australia. I've done Australia a few times. So I quite like trying lots of different places and unusual places. But if I had to stick with one place, I think Verbier would probably be it.
Good on you. Well, that's great to see. Well, thanks very much for joining us on the White Out podcast this week to talk about your evolving ski slope. Where can skiers and snowboarders find out? I take it, can you snowboard on
we do snowboarding. I'm not a boarder, so it just didn't naturally occur to me straight away that people might want to board. But fortunately, both of my full-time ski instructors are also qualified snowboarding instructors. So we don't get many. It is also slightly harder to snowboard. But then again, I think snowboarding is harder to learn from what I understand. I've not been brave enough to try it. I've never really had a week when I could basically put up with broken wrists and a broken coccyx to learn, but maybe now is the opportunity. We're going to see if we can find a way to offer skiers the opportunity to go over to the other side and try in a relatively safe environment.
Nice idea.
With probably a lot of padding.
And most importantly, how is your daughter getting on? Is she skiing every week?
Oh, yeah. She was doing bad snowplows when we left Courchevel last year, and now she's pretty much parallel.
Fantastic. Well, let's look forward to seeing her on the slopes next time when she's carving. Where can people find out more about South Wilts Ski Club?
southwiltski.com. If you Google South Wilts Ski, there's only one ski slope in our valley.
That's good to hear.
We are the only ski resort in Wiley Valley.
You're the biggest ski resort.
We're definitely the biggest ski resort in the Wiley. In fact, we might be the biggest ski resort in South Wiltshire.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, it's been good fun. Thank you very much for joining us today on the White Out podcast, and very good luck with your the largest ski resort in South Wiltshire. We look forward to coming and visiting you.
Come on down.
Thanks.
All the best.
Bye-bye. We got endless skiing in Wiltshire, Rob. Why would you need to be in France? What do you think?
Endless skiing in Wiltshire. I spent over a year skiing on the same sort of machine in the middle of Johannesburg many years ago, believe it or not.
Well,
so while you could ski in Johannesburg, you can definitely ski in Wiltshire.
This seems a bit steep for a blue.
Next up, Rob, is our destination of the week. This is the segment where we take you to some of the best, most exciting ski spots from around the globe. Whether you're looking for epic powder or stunning views or great restaurants, we've got you covered. So let's get into it. What is the destination this week? I'm thinking, Rob, what am I thinking? How about Turkey?
Turkey. Well, funnily enough, Dom, funny you mentioned Turkey. Yeah, no, I've literally just come back from Turkey before this week. Skiing in Turkey, I'd never actually visited the country at all in my life, let alone been skiing there. I travelled there with Dan Egan, Roran Miller fame, and his camera crew and his nephew, Johnny Egan, who Dan visited there in 1991. He was revisiting his footsteps from that trip over 30 years ago. Legendary extreme skier that Dan is, and I joined him for a week down in central Turkey. But first of all, we started in Istanbul.
Talk to me, Rob. You flew from the UK to Istanbul and you had a few days of it in Istanbul first.
couple of days in Istanbul, visiting some of the sites like the Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia, and just taking the sights of the city in, walking across that bridge where they all fish on the Bosphorus between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, of course, that strip of water. What an amazing city Istanbul is. Arrived there at Saturday night, went out for a few drinks and enjoyed the sights of the city the next day. Brilliant way to start a skiing trip in Turkey. Yeah.
Very good. And then how did you get to the actual skiing part? What's next?
So it's a very easy flight from Istanbul to a place called Kayseri, which is in the Anatolia region of Turkey, right down in the middle. Yeah, it's just an hour flight, really easy to the city there.
Okay. Are we talking like a typical resort centre where you've got all the lifts running out and all the shops at the bottom and that sort of stuff?
Kind of. So from Kayseri Airport, it's less than 40 minutes drive up to Mount Erciyes, which is a huge volcano up to 4,000-meter peak almost. It's absolutely incredible mountain. But the road up there, they've invested heavily in that road. You get up there less than 40 minutes, as I said. And then, yes, I mean, it is basically a ski resort. I mean, it is a little bit different to a ski resort in the French Alps. I'm looking out my window now in Laclusa at the church in Laclusa. When I looked out the window of my Radisson 4-star hotel in Mount Erciyes, I saw a huge mosque right at the bottom of the slopes. The road cuts through the ski area, and on either side of that road, you've got, modern hotels, you've got restaurants, bars, and mosques. Essentially, if you think along the lines of high altitude resorts in the Alps, it's kind of a similar kind of look. The road goes through it. It's above the tree line, although they have planted 9 million trees there, but they're taking a little bit of time to grow, they're finding, because the altitude and the conditions. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
And in terms of the lift infrastructure, are we talking about a fairly primitive resort with one lift, or is it far more advanced than that?
No, it's not primitive at all. It's a very impressive modern ski resort. You've got 19 ski lifts, 2 gondolas, one either side of the area, and lots of chairlifts. Many of those chairlifts are very modern, detachable quad chairlifts. There's a few older chairlifts that are a bit slower, but in general, no, it is modern. It's a large ski area as well, 112 kilometers of ski runs with those lifts linking up there as well. So yeah,
Okay.
Impressive place.
So let's assume I'm a trail skier. I just ski on the Piste. Is this somewhere I could go and have a good week just skiing on Piste, or is it mainly a sort of free ride paradise?
No, absolutely. On piste skiing, that runs every morning like you would expect, or all groomed. They have some snowmaking facilities as well on some of those runs, but it's high altitude, so snow is a very snowshore place. And actually, it's a bit like you could start on one side of that ski area in the morning and make your way across to the other side for a bit of lunch. There's plenty of mountain restaurants, and then make your way back again in the afternoon. There's plenty of pistes to explore there. There's also a lot of potential free ride terrain as well in the right conditions.
Talk to me about the free ride then. If I am a Dan Egan from an ex-Warren Miller movie, is it good for that sort of stuff? I'm presuming it is, otherwise he wouldn't have flown from the States to go there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It is a huge peak mountain. They were exploring some of the steeper stuff right at the top of this huge volcano that spouted all these rocks out 6 million years ago. And that's one thing to bear in mind. Be careful off piste there. There is a lot of really good terrain, but you need a bit of snow to make sure those rocks are covered. We did ski off piste and had a brilliant time, just literally off the sides of the runs. There is free ride terrain to be had. If you had a guide and you wanted to go ski touring, there's so much terrain on this big mountain that the ski resort doesn't even cover. But do go with a guide and do be safe, because it is quite steep up there as well.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds amazing. And so mountain restaurants, can I eat on the mountain?
Yeah, absolutely. There were mountain restaurants everywhere, either at the bottom of the ski lifts. There were some great little snack places serving nice fresh kebabs. So you could also seek out some places that had much more upmarket food, I suppose. There was everything there. You could go down to the hotels and ski out the hotel. I was literally skiing out. So plenty of restaurants. And what I will also add about the skiing is that there was skiing for every level. At the bottom of the mountain, there were these huge wide opens, blue runs that were kind of green runs, really nice, easy slopes. As you go progressively higher up the mountain, the terrain got steeper and steeper. So you have blue, red, and black, like you would in the Alps, and some free ride terrain as well. Just great in that respect.
And the all-important question, Rob, I'm rubbing my hands together thinking I've just found the Japan of the West, if you like, and it must be cheap.
Well, first of all, reference Japan. People are starting to say this. I mean, there's lots of areas in Turkey, especially the ones closer to the Black Sea and the Georgian border, that do get a lot of powder snow.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd say Heracles isn't renowned for huge quantities of powder, but they can get that as well. Is it cheap? I mean, I would say generally, I wouldn't say it was a sort of super cheap destination. The
How much is
food
a ski
very good.
pass?
A ski pass is only €20 a day. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
absolutely great value for money for that 112 kilometers and 19 lifts that you get in Urgers. €20 a day flat. No, that's brilliant value. Food is good value. You get, lots of choice, lots of great quality food, and it's not expensive. Alcohol is a little bit more expensive. I mean, think, probably comparable to the sort of more expensive Alps resorts. Beer is about £10 a pint, and spirits even more than that. They make really nice local wine there, and that's reasonably priced actually. It's not cheap in terms of alcohol, but it is quite heavily taxed in Turkey. It's a Muslim country. There was plenty of relaxed alcohol drinking in the ski resort. If you go down into the city of Kayseri, you probably struggle to find alcohol in many restaurants, but not in the ski resorts. That was totally different. People were always enjoying themselves. It was a bit of après ski going on as well.
And do you get the sense of an international visitor there, or is it mainly Turkish people?
I think at the moment it's mainly Turkish people, but increasingly they are saying they are seeing more international visitors. We did get asked where we were from quite a lot, and getting that quite nice reaction. I would say the people there are so friendly, so welcoming. I always felt so safe. I just always felt that people wanted to help us so much, and they were delighted to see us. I felt that really strong welcome in Turkey.
Wow.
Not especially in the skiing area of Erciyes, people were just like, oh, like almost like thanking us for coming there. And I think they would like to see more international visitors. Of course, they really would.
Well, fantastic. That you've definitely put Turkey on my radar. So where, as a listener, if I've suddenly decided I like the sound of what Rob's just said, and I like the sound of a €20 lift pass for a day, where would I find out more information to go skiing in Turkey?
Well, first of all, it's not all about skiing in Turkey. You can go to Istanbul. You can go to very close to Erciyes is Cappadocia, which is very famous hot air balloons flying across these amazing rock formations. And the people used to live in the caves up until the 1980s, and it's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Very easy to visit that area as well. Lots of history and culture there. You could go to Go Turkey, which is the National Tourist Office website, where it's got lots of information about the whole of Turkey and what you can do, including the skiing. There's a tour operator called Ski Turkish. They are a specialist in skiing holidays in Turkey. And there's also, Dan Egan himself is going to also organize tours there and bring his clients or anyone that would like to go skiing with Dan over to Turkey in the future. So there's definitely a few places where you could check that out and book a holiday as well.
What a great place to try out. I love that mix of the cultural mix and the skiing. It brings together two things that I absolutely love in life. A bit like going and skiing in Japan, then having that different culture, which you don't quite get with our European counterparts. Great to bring a new place onto our radar. We'll definitely put all the details of those fabulous ski resorts into our podcast notes. Thank you, Rob, for trying out Turkey and telling us all about it today. Absolutely brilliant.
Someone had to do it.
And thanks so much to our listeners for tuning into the White Owl podcast today. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to hit the slopes with all the latest snow updates. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you didn't like today's episode, don't forget, we'll just keep that as a little secret. We're always love to hear from you. So do take a moment to leave us a review. The more people that listen, the more we're able to produce this free content. Before we go, a reminder about our awesome competitions. You can win a GoPro to capture the best ski moments by heading over to our Instagram @InTheSnow_magazine or by leaving a review on this podcast. And you can win a fantastic piece of Martina's artwork by heading over to the Ski Guru to bring a touch of the mountains into your home. So check that out in the podcast notes on how to enter. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the White Owl podcast. Rob, safe journeys to your next resort. Where are you off to next?
Well, I'm literally just about to pack my bags in this hotel room in La Clusaz and move over to Ligier and then Châtel as well for this weekend. So a dual destination skiing weekend in Ligier, where the comedy festival is happening tonight. A few laughs, and then off to Châtel as well.
Fantastic. And we're heading out to see the new opening of the Club Med in Serre Chevalier and then on to Sarsveille. So yeah, we've got a great week lined up. Thanks for listening, everybody. Safe travels, Rob. Have a good week.
Cheers, Dom. You too. See you.
Adios.
No, talkie walkie.
Pretty sure it's called a walkie-talkie, mate.